cell phone, please turn it off. Don McKinney, the committee, morning prayer.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be in this meeting this morning. We ask you for wisdom and peace as we go through our agenda today. We just thank you for the blessings you give us to live in Carroll County in the great state of Arkansas, a great country of America. We ask you, Lord, to be with our troops overseas and also troops that are in the country that are separated from their families. Comfort them and their families as they are doing their duty. We ask you to be with our leaders up in Washington, D.C. Lord, as they seek your wisdom also in their decisions as they work for our interests. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item of business is roll call. Mr. Kenny, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Deaton?
Here.
Mr. Flake?
Here.
Mr. Garrison?
Here.
Mr. Howerton?
Here.
Mr. McNeely?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Ritchie?
Here.
Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Mr. Slot?
Here.
We have them all here this morning. Next item of business is approval of the agenda.
Judge, I have a motion to amend the agenda before we submit it for approval.
Okay.
Christy Estrin, the president of Mercy Hospital, has asked to give us a brief annual report, and I'd like to put her on miscellaneous as item C after the sheriff. She says it'll be 10 minutes or less. She's very short-winded today, so if everybody will agree to that. She's not available next month, and we didn't know in time to get her on the agenda, but it's our annual report. Before you, the sheriff volunteers to let her go before you.
I had a request. I wasn't able to be here last month. I was on the agenda, but I had to be here. I would like to speak last about the total county community, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Disposition. Next item is disposition of journal proceedings, approval of previous minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Ron move to approve, Joe second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Joe second.
Thank you.
Next item of business is public comment. And who's first? Cindy?
She's on miscellaneous.
Yeah.
No, public comment. I'm sorry. We have a public comment. We have none. The next is miscellaneous. Now we're down where we're supposed to be. First, Christie. Cornerstone. Okay. James Mike. Good morning, James.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, Quroum. Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for sponsoring me today. I do have some packages I'd like to pass out for you to look at. Every other one's colored. If you'd like color, that's fine. Not black and white, looks fine. What I have today is a presentation. When the bank, Cornerstone Bank, built their building in 2009, we built, roughed in some extra office spaces downstairs for future expansion. However, the future expansion portion has become impractical for us because our operations are still held in the Reed Springs. So what I have before you is 2 office spaces that we have finished out, less the floor covering and wall covering, which the tenants will be able to choose, and the bank will finish out at their expense. Each office is 1,000 square feet. Each office has its own bathroom facilities, its own environmental control, and its own security system. Those offices have 8 private parking spaces to the rear of the building. They have their own exit and entrance without disturbing from the bank. So it doesn't matter whether the bank's open or closed. Those offices are private and entrance from the rear of the building. The offices that we have are concrete underground partially on 3 sides with a concrete ceiling, so they are basically a bunker. The facilities, like I say, are brand new. We're willing to finish those out for a term lease of 3 to 5 years. We will go ahead and build the offices in there for those folks. We have had an interested party. We've had Tony Rogers come up and look a few times, and he's interested in the facility. Those rent at $750 per side, $1,500 for the pair. We will be willing to open a space in between the two, a doorway or an archway, in case someone needs both spaces. That's my presentation. Y'all, if y'all have any questions? Yes, sir.
You said Tony, did he indicate that there was enough space?
He came up and toured the space. I do have some off-site storage available that I told him that he would have available to him at no charge in our basement facility, and he thought that would be plenty of space for him. That'd be about 2,000 square feet. I think he has currently in the building he's in about 2,500 square feet. So I think that's what he's saying. And we would be able to do the office space and everything to fit him, so there wouldn't be any wasted space there.
Any more questions? No?
James, would you guys do the finish out?
Yes, at our expense.
At your expense?
Yes. We didn't finish it because we didn't know what kind of floor covering a tenant might require. In here, carpet would be fine. If it was a dentist's office, carpet tile would be their choice. So we said that what we would do is we would just leave that concrete floor until the tenant came in and he chose, we'd finish out. Same thing with the walls. I mean, it's just paint. So let them choose their color scheme as they want. And at this point, since it's concrete walls, I talked with Tony when he was in there, and I said, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you can just take a can of spray paint, if you want, mark out your walls on the concrete floor, and we'll build them in for you. We have a carpenter that's willing to do this. Sir?
James, how about this parking space behind there? Is there plenty of parking space?
We have
good parking behind.
They park behind, and it is paved, and no one uses that. It has 8 spaces plus handicap.
Any more questions? Thank you, James.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yes. Lay the next in the notes, Christian.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this group as a county-owned facility. I've always felt that it's good to communicate with the Quroum Court and let you know how things are rolling, what things are happening at our facility. And so I've given you a packet that's going to have more information than what I'm going to go over in my brief time this morning. But if you'll pull this out of your packet, it's on the right-hand side. Just wanted to let you know we do have a few new board members that just started in July. Andrea Martin from Alpena School, she's the superintendent. Dr. Rishardi and Harley Barnum are our newest board members, and I've got a list there of all of our board members. Just to let you know, we have about 151 coworkers at the hospital. Our annual payroll is around $10 million. Our assets are around 9.5, and then our total debt and charity care this year was $6.3 million. Our fiscal year ends June 30th, so what I'm reporting is as of June 30th of this year. If you look at our admissions, we had 814 admissions to the hospital. Because we're a critical access hospital, we have to keep our length of stay at 4 days or less. We were at 3.8. We have an average daily census of around 8.47. Our emergency room, I'll show you in a little bit, has really expanded. We had 11,189 visits compared to 10,200 last year. Outpatient is really the majority of our business. We have about 85% with outpatient. That means they come and go in one day. Our surgery, we did 1,259 cases last year. If you look at the patients that we see, I broke it down, what percent of our patients are Medicare, what percent are Medicaid, what percent have insurance, and what percent don't have any insurance. And what we're seeing is a decrease in the commercial insurance, and we're seeing an increase in the Medicare and the Medicaid. The next graph is it just shows you what the trend line has been over the last 7 years for the emergency room. You can see that our emergency room continues to get busier. We're actually seeing sicker patients in the emergency room. If you look at how we ended our year financially, we had probably one of the best years that we've had in the history of the hospital. We continue to struggle with declining reimbursements, but we ended up with $3 billion as our net operating income, with an operating margin of 15.1%. So we had a great year financially. Gave you a graph that just shows you for the last 7 years what we've done financially, just so you can see that we are financially stable and doing well. Wanted to let you know who we have as far as physicians and nurses. We have 37 so far. Although there are a lot of physicians that work with us on a teleradiology basis. They're not physically here, but they do work with us. So I did not count them. One of the things that we've really done is just bringing the outreach specialists to the community. You can see we have 9 specialties that actually come to our community. We feel like because we have so many specialists here in town, that we're keeping some of that business here locally, and I think that's why we're seeing an increase in our census as well as an increase in the emergency room. We have a few new physicians to tell you about. We've got another family practice. We had to shut down the Green Forest Clinic because we didn't have a practitioner there, but we have one hired, and he is coming in next month. And we only have that open right now for orthopedics, but we do have a family physician coming to Green Forest full time. He is excited to be in this area. He was in private practice in Jonesboro and is excited to be in this area. So we are welcoming him.
Would the patients that we're seeing, Dr. Sanders and Dr. Finor, go back to them?
Yes, and we'll have access to the records and everything. You bet. We also have a nurse practitioner that's working here locally, and then we have another family practice that we have hired who will be coming when he finishes his residency next fall. And then we just hired another emergency room physician. His name is Dr. Dwight Johnson. So it's exciting when we can have new physicians coming to the community because that keeps us viable. Just a few things of quality, just to let you know, we are Joint Commission accredited. We are CAP accredited in the laboratory. We're one of the few small hospitals that accredits through the CAP. Very strenuous. Our radiology department is accredited for ultrasound and vascular. There are several others, but those were the 3 big ones that I just wanted to draw your attention to. We also have gone to an electronic health record at Mercy. That was a major undertaking from Mercy, but we are all on electronic health records, so any Mercy facility we're able to see charts. There is some issue with us being able to see Rogers, but we were building a bridge. So we hope to make that a little easier in the future. So as far as other technology, having an ENT physician in town, we're probably one of the only critical access hospitals that has performed a cochlear implant, and that was done just a couple months ago. We will be doing some publicity on that. But having a specialist in town actually gives us the ability to do things that most critical access hospitals would never have the opportunity to do. In my mercy, because we are on the electronic health records, patients are being able to access their health records. So just a few things on the commitment to our community. We just finished the school bus supply drive, and those school supplies went to Eureka, Green Forest, and the Learning Center. We filled up 2 buses. We do free athletic physicals. We have health teacher that goes to all the schools teaching kids about health. And our latest program is the Operation Food for 100 Kids, and we've partnered with the school as well as the food bank and the media, KPHS and Carroll County newspaper, to address some of the child hunger that we have here locally. And we've been asked by the Eureka Springs community to help them replicate the same kind of program in Eureka Springs. We have been designated as a Level 3 trauma facility. We were accredited in the fall of 2011, and we continue with that. We work with disaster drills. We helped with the one that happened this week at the school. When you look at how we reinvest in the community, we spent over $420,000 this year in new capital. That doesn't even account for what the auxiliary and the foundation helped to purchase for us. We've just about finished our room renovation. Love to have you come out and see it, and then I'd like to just a couple of quick facts about the hospital. So, we've got under 10 minutes. I can't breathe. Any questions or anything I'd like to answer for you? I just appreciate this opportunity to give you a quick overview of how things are going. We have a great partner in Mercy, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here.
If I could just make a comment and kind of piggyback on that. Just so everybody knows, the county owns the facility. The county owns the ground and leases it long-term to Mercy, who operates the hospital and owns the hospital and the equipment. But it is a county facility, and that's why it's important that we be current and we know what's going on with it. So Christy was kind enough to come in and give us this briefing and this information. I think it's important that we get the information out in the community about the hospital so people realize the services we do have here. She works very hard to recruit doctors to come in here. She works so hard she married one of them getting here.
Unique recruiting.
She can't do another one for a while. But that's why we have the specialists we do have here. Is that a number of people from the hospital work very hard all over the country trying to recruit doctors to come in. Our physician population here is getting pretty old, and the ones who've been here a long time are aging, and we've got to get some younger ones. And that's the good thing about the people that bring in. They work very hard at it. I know my brother's very involved in that with the whole Mercy system, trying to recruit doctors to come to rural areas. Doctors can make a lot more money in cities than they can in rural areas. And the emphasis in medical school now is to specialize, not to be a family practitioner. So getting family doctors who will come and work in a small community is very difficult. And I just want to say that Christy and those people have put tremendous amounts of effort in. They're entertaining somebody every weekend, trying to get them to fall in love with Carroll County and come here and work. So I just want to be sure everybody understands how hard they work, and thanks for all you do, Christy.
Well, J.P. Rick, the Green Forest community, I know, has been very concerned about us not having a provider, and that provider went back to where her husband was. He never was able to find a position in this area as a college instructor, and so So we've worked very hard to pull that back up so that we'd have a good provider. And I think Dr. House is going to be a great addition to the community. He understands small health care and small rural areas and what that takes to have a successful practice. So I think he's going to be a good fit all the way around.
Doesn't he have a TV show or something?
Yeah, we have our very own Dr. House now. Any other questions?
Good question, Christie. Will Mercy be reopening the satellite office at Walmart? That was such a good service.
It was. We did struggle with finding a provider for the Walmart clinic. We have been in discussions and just about to sign the dotted line on a facility in the county that would be set up as a walk-in clinic. We will not be, we've been working with Walmart, we're not going to renew that contract with them. It's kind of a mixed blessing. A lot of people liked it, and other people said, if I'm sick, Walmart's the last place I want to go to. So but we know that after-hours care is very important to the county, and so we are working on signing the dotted line for a facility that can be a walk-in clinic. So it's going to close, but hopefully we'll have an option in the county for us to go to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff, I believe you're next, unless I'm not mistaken.
I got a few comments I would like to make, and it relates to the letter that you were sent to put in your package. At the last Quroum Court meeting, there was a comment made about the negative press at the Sheriff's Office, and I've been trying to go over some of this negative press that we've been hearing about. And you know, when we have it in the newspapers that after a very lengthy investigation, the state police couldn't find anything wrong with the sheriff's office, I think that's positive press, not negative press. And what kind of concerned me is that one of the major newspapers contacted me after they got another FOIA and asked for a copy of that report. And the state police report was over 400 pages. And in the report, he says, I'm falling asleep reading it. He says, I can't understand what is even involved in this case. He said, but there's a couple of letters in here that I don't understand how it relates to the traffic stop. And I said, well, what are those two documents? And they said, well, there's a letter there from the judge to Tony Rogers asking that two of my officers be prosecuted for burglarizing his office. And I was kind of disappointed that that was even included in that package. I don't understand how it even got connected to that package. And just as information, in the last 7 years, the Sheriff's Office has been investigated by the Prosecutor's Office on at least 10 occasions. Positive news, there hasn't been anything that come with any one of those cases. Now, positive news, maybe consider negative. The judge, of course, ruled that my officer made a lawful arrest. Also, that same officer, because we were removed from the task force, because allegations were made against one of my officers for criminal conduct in a traffic stop. And just because of that, I had my officer take a polygraph, and he was willing to do it. And it turned out that he was not deceptive in any way, that those charges were false. That's positive news. Is it negative news because I am trying to protect the assets of the county by refusing to change policies that are going to put the county at high risk for lawsuits? Is it negative that I'm trying to charge the police department for services that we have been giving to them for many, many years at no cost? Second thing is the Quroum Court. There's been a lot of discussion. I am willing to discuss any matter involving the Sheriff's Office, Detention Center, or dispatch. I'm willing to answer any questions, educate you on any issues that I'm doing, but the Quroum Court does not have the right to tell me how to operate my jail or dispatch. I provide you with a copy of that law. And I'm concerned that the prosecutor is getting involved in siding with the cities on some of our policies when we have a contract with Rainwater, and it's his responsibility to look into the risk management to see if we are doing anything that may cause the county to be sued. He's the one who assisted us in writing our policy. He has approved our policy, and the federal laws enforce our policy, so I don't understand why that's even being challenged. In closing, I've been to a lot of sheriff conferences, and every so now and then, there is a speaker that represents the Arkansas Association of Counties. And the one thing that he says, and I've heard it many, many times, and I think the other elected officials have heard it too, the sheriff's office could make or break the county because of the high-risk work that we do. And I think it's kind of difficult for, and it doesn't come from the sheriff's office, like I said, it comes from the Arkansas Association of Counties. And to me, it's very difficult for my officers to hear that over and over again. And then when they hear that unless Sam Barr signs his contract for a pay study, there's not going to be any pay raises for employees. I'm talking about the sheriff's office and the county employees. Why should we be penalized for that? And I think that sends a bad message to my people for work that they do. You know, based on the above and the things that are happening, you know, I think we should be very thankful that we have the dedicated employees that we do have working for the sheriff's office. And the last thing I want to say is that package that I provided you, I had sent that to an attorney. The attorney is not from Carroll County. He has no idea what's going on in Carroll County. I didn't meet with him. I just sent it to him. I said, you read my comments, call me back and give me feedback. He called me back. He said, the only question I have is, how does the ballot read? And I read the ballot title to him. He said, Sheriff, I don't have the slightest idea what's wrong with any of the things that you said in your letter. So he's willing to represent us if it needs be. Thank you.
I have a question. Maybe I missed something, but what was that you said about 2 of your employees involved in a burglary? I haven't heard that. I haven't seen it anywhere. What are we talking about? Burglary is pretty serious.
I would say if we want to discuss it afterwards, I'll ask Sam if he wants it to be discussed here, or we'll discuss that at a later date with the open hand.
I have nothing to hide, you all make your own choice.
If we have sheriff's employees involved in burglary, I want to know what it's about. Can you explain it to us?
In the past, the coffee pot was in the secretary's office by Sam Barr's office. And usually whoever came in the morning would make coffee not only for Sam, but for the circuit judge and the employees. Well, my 2 officers are always here early in the morning preparing for circuit court. The secretary came in and the door was locked. And she says, you know, I want to make coffee for, you know, get it ready. So the officer got the door open for her so she can go in and make the coffee. And that was the only thing that they were involved in. Sam came in later, saw what was happening. He was upset that they were in his office, not in his office, in the secretary's part. And they explained to him what took place. And they apologized that they opened the door for her, but there was no intent on anybody's part to burglarize the office. It's not a Watergate issue. It was just simply to get the door open so they could make copies.
These were the bailiffs?
Yes. And the thing is, I don't even understand how they even got involved with the case on the raid on the sheriff's office. I don't understand why those documents were even involved in that case.
Did someone file burglary charges? You said they were accused, that I guess that Sam wrote a letter saying they burglarized?
Sam wrote a letter to the prosecutor.
Okay, but there were no charges filed?
No, they never filed.
Nothing ever happened?
No.
I wrote one to you and Judge Crow also.
Yes, that was in
and asked for an explanation.
Yes.
Because to me, I don't think anyone has the right to pick the lock to your office. And Sheriff and Crow both sent me an explanation. I feel like they did wrong. But I did not press charges because I didn't want to lose a job. But I don't know how they can write someone else's explanation when they were wrong. Chuck? Did you have your hand up? Did you have your hand up?
No.
Who did that? Don?
How many times, Sheriff, has the previous sheriff's department been investigated by the prosecutor's office? Do you have any idea on that?
No. The only part of it that bothers me, Don, is that there have been cases that have been presented to Tony that were very similar or worse in nature than we were being accused of, and those were never investigated. It was only when there was allegations made against the sheriff's office.
Tim?
Sheriff, I'd like to address in your packet acceptance of prisoners, where you address me directly. I strongly urge J.P. Garrison to get an Attorney General's opinion regarding our policy. I guess you're not aware that I can't do that. I cannot do that. Private citizens and people of the staffs of this court have not a right to request anything from the Attorney General's office, or nor a law that we can do so.
Tim, you were the one that brought it up, so
Right.
if you wanted it done, then you should go to the people who would be in a position to do it.
Okay, I just wanted it very clear that I cannot request, as you say here, to get that opinion. Also, you mentioned, I had no reason to ever see your guidelines for accepting prisoners. I believe you've addressed this matter that they're based upon federal guidelines, according to an opinion by an attorney, is that correct?
This is federal law, it's not an opinion, it's federal law.
But are there federal guidelines, sir?
When it comes to prisoners needing medical treatment, yes. it's federal
Specifically
law.
so, and they are incorporated in your guidelines?
And that was presented when, and maybe Dave has it with him, but Tony Rogers challenged those policies also, and they wrote a letter to Rainwater, and Rainwater wrote them a lengthy response back, saying that if you want me to, I'll be willing to come to Berryville and go over the policies with you.
Well, an attorney's opinion is just that.
It's not an opinion, Tim, it is federal law, it's not an
Okay.
opinion.
I'm just asking, the guidelines that you have in place and written policy are in keeping with the federal policy as well?
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sheriff. Next item of business, I believe it was Cindy.
This is the time of year that we can have a good hard look at our finances. We've got the history of this part of the year behind us. If you will look at your comparisons in the packet from my office, and it compares previous year to 2013. Long sheet. And part of this is just education of the uniform for members also. The things I want to bring attention to are the balance of all county funds that are up for appropriation by the Quroum Court. You understand I have other funds that are not under the Quroum Court's purview, school funds, city funds, board and service district funds, because my funds cover about 3 pages worth. I have a lot of funds. The general fund, the road fund combined are in good shape, as are all the officials funds. The detention facility, those 3 funds when added together, we are actually $198,000 more this year than we were last year for those funds that were taken care of the detention facility as well as dispatch.
You mean we received that much more?
We had that much more money at this time of year than we did last year. And if you remember last year, we did have that 1 month where the sales tax was not sent, which is about $130,000. So, but that still leaves us $70,000 to the good. The good news on a lot of this is there were actually two bills passed in the legislature this year that have to do with the 911 dispatch. On a yearly basis, the county of our size, the amount that you get is based on your county size. With the smaller counties getting the most, we would get a yearly amount of $18,000 to supplement 911, as well as the 911 fees that you see on your phone bills will go up 20 to 30%, which could mean from 30 to 40,000 more that go straight into the 911 dispatch. And
30,000 a year, Cindy?
yes, and of course it will come in on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on the phone company that I'm getting it from. Do y'all have any questions? And at any time, if you have any questions about the finance or any financial reports, just give me a call.
Cindy, I have one question. Have we heard anything at all about the possibility of having another monthly sales tax payment withheld, or any?
No.
We haven't heard anything about that, but it could still happen.
It could. I would assume that the beginning of the year is when they would do their audit. So for that reason, maybe not because of their internal audit. However, that doesn't keep a private individual from requesting their overpayment amount back.
So it could still happen.
It could happen. But we plan for that.
Yeah.
Through
I
budgeting
know,
and appropriating.
I was just curious to
Yeah.
see if we've heard anything.
Also, in that same subject line, that new half-cent sales tax for road, we have gotten the first month, which was $16,000. Now, with sales tax, it takes 2 or 3 months for those to level out. From all indications, it looks like to me that we would get $35,000 to $36,000 a month from that. So each month, over the next couple of months, it's going to grow from that to where it stabilizes for next year.
What would be the amount, and I should know this, in fact, I think it's probably the $130,000 or so. What would be the amount that the county would generate if the county had its own half-cent sales tax for roads?
Half-cent?
Half-cent.
If I go by, we hit on several factors, but if I go by, you can go by the amount that the sales tax for emergency services, all that comes in. You could look for 1.5 million up to almost 1.7 million. Per year. I would stay in the middle of that if I was saying, or even at the low end. But
so it's 130 or so a month.
It would be. Yes.
And I just want to comment on that. That's that state half-cent tax that was sold as a good deal to the county. Mm-hmm. Well, the county is sending out $130,000 a month, basically. That's what our citizens are being charged on the sales tax. We get back about 30 for county roads. That's another deal where the state is taking advantage of us to do projects like this silly project on Highway 62. We get back about 30 that we can use for roads, and we pay out 130 or so a month.
Actually, I would think that our county would bring in more than as you're saying, would probably bring in the 1.5, if we had kept that. Now, there's a calculation as to the counties and the size of the counties as to what they get back. It's only a fraction of what this county would actually have taken in. But the same thing happened with the property tax relief. On your real estate taxes, when you get your bill, the $350 that comes off for your homestead exemption, we certify that we have taken in that much to the state, so we will get that much back. The amount of the tax that went up on the state tax is much more than that, and that has kind of been a strong discussion with judges and county treasurers for quite some time, because we know that we're bringing in more than that. Yeah. But it still has been something that has kept our finances on an even keel monthly, because that comes in at a good rate monthly, whereas our taxes, our local county taxes, of course the bulk of that is the last 4 to 5 months of the year. So,
The state takes a big chunk of money from us and gives us back a little bit to keep us quiet.
well,
That's basically what it is.
it's a tax. Are there any questions?
Any more questions? Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Next item of business is old business, and we have none. We'll move on to new business. Would you read eight, please, Ms. Jimmy?
Be it enacted by the Quroum Court of the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance directing the Carroll County tax funds appropriated for use in central dispatch be used in accordance with the voter-approved purpose. Whereas in 2000, the Carroll County voters approved a 1/2 of 1% sales tax to be used to construct and equip the jail facility and sheriff's department, and to be used to operate the jail facility and a central dispatch office. And whereas Arkansas Code annotated section 14-14-80110 grants the Quroum Court's authority to provide for any service or performance of any function relating to county affairs. And whereas the Quroum Court believes voters of Carroll County intended this tax to include dispatching services to the cities that choose to participate, and that such service should be at the same level as that provided to the deputy sheriff, and to provide less could expose the county to liability. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quroum Court of the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, the Carroll County tax funds appropriated to fund central dispatch are to be used in accordance with the voter-approved purpose, and dispatching services is to be provided to the cities that choose to participate in central dispatch at the same level of service as that provided to the deputy sheriffs, including but not limited to full access and to support relating to ACI.
Have a motion to adopt?
I'll move to adopt for discussion purposes.
Ronald, move to adopt. Second. Give me a second.
Just to start the discussion, I'd like to say that this is the ordinance that we talked to Devin about preparing. She prepared this as her stab at helping us make sure that the jail tax money is spent appropriately, since everybody in the county pays it. Now, Devin isn't here today, I think. David's here instead. Are you up to speed on this, David?
Sir, I am, and I'm prepared to, in a limited manner, discuss this.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure that we could get Devin's, your viewpoint on it, since...
So long as it's in line with the research he's done, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's all we need. I have some concerns about this. I think that the principle that the county central dispatch has to be operated the same for all of the county is important. The question is, what are dispatch services and what aren't dispatch services that the sheriff provides? He repeatedly says he provides lots of services that are not actually a part of dispatch, and we need to clear that up and not require him to provide other free services to the other law enforcement agencies.
Larry?
On the difference in the dispatch duties, your voters out here that voted on this were voting for dispatch. To them, there's not a difference in it. And what's more, there was not a difference to everybody sitting at this table until the sheriff come in his attempt to separate it and make it play out the way he wanted it to. The people that voted on this is not seeing a difference in police dispatch and central dispatch. They voted for dispatch for this county. And also, even put that in perspective, the sheriff wants to charge the cities for dispatch. Why does he not want to charge the ambulance services and fire departments? It don't make sense. I don't know where the conflict is lying, but I've had people ask me
why is the sheriff doing this? And I can't explain it. You know, there's been other times that we've had things that, well, someone is doing this for this reason. I may not agree, but this is the reason they're doing it. But when I'm asked on this, I'll say, I don't understand it, I don't have any idea.
Lamont?
I asked Devin, Devin and I had been in communication while this ordinance was being drafted. And after last month's meeting, I gave her a summary of the discussion at the meeting. She wrote back to me to say that she agrees that cities are entitled to ACIC as part of the dispatch function, but not for the clerical aspect, such as entering warrants or missing persons. And I think that's where, in my mind, that's where the distinction lies. Dispatch is the radio communication of being asked to run a plate number or something of that nature. The other part of ACIC, which is sitting at a computer terminal, entering and updating records. I'm not sure that that is a function of central dispatch.
John, did you ever?
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. Going to your comment, Larry, I think it was important that we learned the distinction between these various things. I didn't understand it at the start, and I think the sheriff has done us a service in letting us know what the difference is. And I agree that the administrative functions there should be separated from the other.
Ron?
I see the problem with the ACIC data entry, and to me, it becomes a liability problem for the county if, as the sheriff says, he's getting bad information on warrants and other data entry from, he mentions Green Forest, and I'm not picking on Green Forest, but the sheriff says he's had five cases this year where he got bad data for ACIC for dispatch from Green Forest because they weren't keeping their data current. They apparently somebody gets picked up on a warrant, and if it doesn't get entered, and that person gets stopped again and arrested on that warrant again, that creates some possible liability. Or if a stolen car is recovered and the information doesn't get pulled off ACIC, and the dispatcher puts that out as stolen, and somebody who's driving it is arrested, that creates liability for the county, and that concerns me, and I don't think that the data entry portion is the sheriff's duty for the city, for Green Forest, for Berryville, for anybody else. Every department should be responsible for entering their own data, and if there's an error in that information, then the city needs to be responsible, not the county. And that's my thoughts on it.
I got the same letter. Our letter says that's the sheriff's side of the story. I mean, there's discrepancies. I see discrepancies in the letter. Whatever. I mean, we can sling mud all day long, but the bottom line is the cities are paying for that ACIC service. They get sent a bill. The cities are paying for that also. This is part of the city's points of view is all of a sudden now it's a problem. It hasn't been a problem until just recently. He didn't have a problem for his first 5 years in office, and all of a sudden now it's a problem. And this procedure, the way that the entering into the ACIC service goes back way back. But cities do pay for that ACIC service. Okay, they're sending a bill, they're paying for that service for the entry. Okay. So there's some money being exchanged on that. Like both mayors have testified, both chiefs have testified that the bills vary based upon the amount of stuff being serviced.
Can I ask the sheriff a question? On the stop of the ACIC, are you talking about just entering data or running tags?
It's gonna be both.
It's going to be both, and you opened up a couple of questions here, just what I want to clarify. 911 is a separate matter. We get the franchise tax money, we get the 911 money for the cell phones, all that goes for 911. And all it is 911 call, we dispatch the emergency services. Now, if there is an argument and concern that I did a survey of about 37 counties, the only dispatching that the county sheriffs do for any city is going to be those cities that only have maybe 2 or 3 officers that don't have the money to have their own dispatch. They don't have a 24-hour operation and so forth. So if you were to do a poll and go around and see that they do all 911, 911 is the function of the sheriff's office. But when it comes to police dispatching, every police department is doing their own dispatching, except for small departments that can't afford to do it. And Galen's question about paying for it, every month we get a bill for the terminal and for the number of records that go into the system, just like in a fax machine. That is split 3 ways between the cities and the sheriff's office. That is not paying for any data entry. My clerks spend 24 hours a day in dispatch, in the booking area, making sure that these records are kept current. Our people have to get training. We are the ones that we get a list, that you should see the way, which I had the numbers to bring you, is that every now and then ACIC will hit us with several hundred records that we have to go back into the system to make sure that those records are validated and they're in the system. The clerical work that is done by our people is very, very significant. The price they pay is just for terminal use and for a record being entered.
Galen?
You're talking about the validations. Who does the validations for the city of Green Force and Beverly?
Our people have to do it.
I do the validations for Green Force, and Bearable, I guarantee, does their validations. Your people send us a copy of the forms, we do our own verification, because you do not keep the original warrants at your agency. We keep the original documents at our agency. You cannot validate it unless you have the original warrants. So that's what I'm getting at. You guys need to do your own research. You guys need to do your own research instead of taking what he's saying for face value. Each agency does their own validations. And I do them along with our secretary for the city of Green Forest. And I bet you Beverly King can probably tell you who from Bearable does it.
Fair.
Well, if we could make arrangements with ACIC to go through your River Springs and do that, would that let you lay off some people and save some money?
That would just give us the opportunity to do our own work. And I don't think, I think if you make the offer to Eureka Springs, I think like somebody has already tried, I don't think Eureka Springs is going to do that for free for you. Tim, you're not going to do it for free.
We've already talked about that.
Okay, then if you want them to do your validations and your data entry for warrants and everything, I can give it to you in a minute, no problem.
And the county can pick up the $6,000 a year that the city retains.
Yeah.
This obviously has become a personal matter between Green Forest, Bearable, and the sheriff. We're not here to discuss that. The sheriff was not even a sheriff when this ballot was brought before the voters. You could stop anybody on the street, and they understood, because they don't know dispatching better than some of us do. Their thinking was, we're going to vote this sales tax in to get us a new sheriff's office, a new jail, and get us a central dispatch and take care of all. Sheriff sitting back there that was in the sheriff when all this took place, and that was kind of sugar on the cereal to make it pass, was get all this stuff going on good. The only way we can clarify this and make the sheriff happy in the city is take this back to the voters and give them another option, and we don't want to do that. Our job here is to say, hey, this was the way it was voted many years ago, and until the voters of the county want to change it, we've got to support this thing and make the dispatch still safe, just like it has been for all these years, and provide the city and everybody else in the county that pays this tax the same services as the deputies get, because we do not want any officer out there unable to run a tag or run a driver's license or whatever, because it's their safety that's involved. And I just, we can argue all day long, it's become a personal matter, and we cannot do this anymore. Our job is, we work for the voters of this county. We need to pass this thing and get back where everybody's covered the same way. Rita Springs chose not to do this because they have a jail. They got every jailer on duty 24 hours a day. Earl would just soon have his own dispatch because it's cost efficient, they're already set there. And he's got his own dispatch for his police officers. And, I like to see it come back down to what the voters wanted and not this personal matter we got involved in.
And which brings us back to the fairness of the face of this document. But there is one misconception, and I've heard it from all my people over there, emails and phone calls, and as you all know that works. There's been some thought that the warrant entries and so on came out of 911, and that office was handling it, which is impossible because you have to have a level 2 certification to enter. So they're not taking any of their time away from 911. It is the other personnel in the dispatch center that's doing this and costing the sheriff money to have that done. On the face of this ordinance, we are leaving ourselves open to licking our cap all over again one of these days because I don't think it's specific enough. Maybe Mr. Coates can help with that one. I don't think that we are making a point that cannot be contended. The sheriff's going to say, I'm doing this right now. The cities of Green Forest are going to say, no, he's not, or the potential is there that he will not be. I think we're leaving ourselves open to just coming back and doing it all over again. We don't be more specific with this one.
Larry? Well, as far as this ordinance, I think the part in there that says the same services will be provided to deputies covers that. But I want to go back to what Jack said, because I agree with everything he said 100%. To give you an idea where I'm coming from on this, in the late 90s, we passed I think it's half-cent sales tax to buy county road equipment. This Quroum Court takes things to the ballot. We vote on whether to put things out there on the ballot or not. If we hadn't got the road equipment and used the money for something else, it would come back to us, no matter if it was for the road equipment. Same way here, we put this on the ballot. Quroum Court, it don't make any difference who was sitting at this table. When you ran for this office, you ran for the office to sit down and take the place of the people that were here. Whatever ordinances were passed in front of it before you, unless they're repealed, there are still ordinances in effect. When you run for an office, for the sheriff running for his office, the Quroum Court members running for an office, you assume what is already in place. You can change that later if you want to, but you assume what is in place. The people voted on this. I'm going to say 98% of the people in this county voted on it and thought this was complete dispatch that covered everything. That was the way they looked at it. It is our job to see that the taxpayers get what they're paying their taxes for. Now, the sheriff doesn't think we have some authority, and we don't have the authority to tell him how to run his office. And that's one thing that I have never done, and office holders will tell you I've never tried to micromanage anybody's office. But we have the responsibility to taxpayers to see that this money is spent the way they thought they were voting on it to be spent. And if the sheriff doesn't want to do that, we can take these funds and direct them to somebody that will do it like it's supposed to be done. So, now that's where the choice is at.
Sheriff, you go first,
Sheriff?
I think the bill is very, very clear, the bill entitled, saying that it has some sales tax, all that money will go for the operation of the jail and dispatch, and it does. And Cindy is here. And you'll see that every year, we do not have the revenue to cover the operating expenses of the jail and dispatch. Now, everybody has contributed to that. And when I say county, I mean city people as well as the county residents. We're falling short every year of $150,000, say $200,000. Is that fair to say to the rest of the county people, we don't have the revenue to cover the expenses, but we owe free services to the cities, so we have to make up that $200,000 difference. So we take $200,000 out of county general that would be used for services for the county, the employees, the people for other things, and we take that money away from them and we put it into